And welcome, guys. It's Clemson Sports News Howard's Rock Podcast. We are live here, and we are inside Oakway Tractor on 123 here in Seneca on your way to Westminster. It's on the right. You can't miss it. Great big orange sign. It looks like, what'd you say, Sauron's eye?
The Eye of Sauron.
The eye of Sauron. So I got Andy over here with us. Andy, why don't you slide into the frame with us? Andy's the owner of Oakway Tractor. He's joining us tonight for the show, and we're going to talk a little bit about football, Clemson, basketball, everything that's going on around the league here, and also going to talk about a lot of Oakway Tractor. Andy, hop on in here a little bit more. Let me get you. There you go. Might have to stand up with us for this one. So, Oakway Tractor, we found you guys just about a year ago, and they signed up with Clemson Sports News, became a sponsor, and been with us for a year. We've done a lot of good work with these guys online. If you go online, you'll see a lot of cool stuff from Kubota online with them. You'll see also a heavy presence of local on everything they do. That has to go back to Andy and his family. And we're going to talk to Andy about how Oakway became about here. But there's, a lot of folks that don't realize how big the agriculture industry is in this area. Clemson being an ag school. Andy, tell us again, how did your family start out in this business in this area and again, this business has been here for quite a while.
So my great grandfather built the original shop building in the 1920s. It was kind of just a local convenience store trading post back when this area was almost completely a farming community. Then my grandfather and his brother, they started the equipment business in 1951, selling Alice Chalmers tractors and New Holland hay equipment.
Yeah.
Then in 1985, my father had taken over. He took on and signed on with Kubota Tractor Corporation, and that's been our main line ever since.
And also, since I when I got here last year, I noticed that you guys, because of everybody going to the battery formats everywhere, you guys went with Ego as one of your other lines that you carry here. Which
Correct.
I know you showed me a bunch of tractors last year, a bunch of different mowers, and a bunch of stuff that they got coming out. Tell us a little bit about that association with Ego and the advantages that you've seen from that.
So Ego, it just gives us another option for our customers. Some folks, they don't want to fool with gas. Ego is environmentally friendly, doesn't make a lot of noise. Just another option for our customers.
Mm-hmm. And what about the service here at Oakway? I mean, your customers are return customers. I mean, I've been here before and seen the same folks in here every time I come in here. But talk about your service department, things that you offer there, things that you can offer to the guys. Another thing, something they don't know that you have here at Oakway Tractor.
Well, we do fully service everything that we sell. We do have a lot of repeat business. Very blessed to have just a wonderful customer base, but still growing and adding new customers every day. Got a service manager that's been with us for now 15 years who just knows all the ins and outs of the equipment business, and also my father, who's been involved in the business for over 60 years now. Just a lot of experience. And he's passed that down to me and the rest of our employees.
If there's one message you want to get out to your customers, and it's hard to what's one thing that's hard to get out to your customers that you're trying to get out to the customer right now here from your offices, just to let them know what they can expect here at Kubota and at Oakway Tractor.
Just that we try to treat folks the way that we would like to be treated. We with honesty, with integrity. We don't like to pressure folks. We just want to give an honest opinion and work hard to earn their business.
Right. I just noticed that we were talking off camera earlier, and we had this discussion about the local businesses and supporting each other, and that's just what this is. We support you, you guys support us. It's the same thing. It's I scratch you, you scratch your back mentality. But it's a different thing when a family brand has been here this long, and it's a source of pride for folks like us. We have other businesses just like yours that are family owned and operated, and that's just something that matters to us. And it just, it's just one of those things that we like to push and press on. We want folks to realize that these are community building businesses. Because what you do is you're supporting the community around you by being here as long as you have. Just the commerce you bring in the door, much less what happens in the local tax dollars. And that doesn't matter, but the commerce you bring in alone brings people into the area. I mean, there's people coming here probably from out of the state by tractor, I'm sure. I'm sure you have a lot of folks that come in from the surrounding areas, not just right here.
We do. We do have customers, not just in the immediate area, but from Northeast Georgia, some from North Carolina. But the vast majority of our customers are local, and they give us good word of mouth advertising. We take care of them; they take care of us.
What kind of Clemson being the ag school of the area? What's the tie-in there? What have you noticed about folks coming out of Clemson and their needs in the agriculture industry that you're in?
Well, again, because we do have a large agricultural presence in this area, and Clemson being an ag school, which my grandfather attended, my father attended. I'm a graduate. Lots of my family went to Clemson. We've sold equipment to Clemson University, and of course, as you know, Clemson is very involved with a lot of our local farmers, helping them advance their agricultural business. And we just try to be there to be as supportive of that as we can with our equipment.
No. I got a good question about you. Product that Kubota puts out. What's the coolest new thing they got out right now that you guys have put out? I know they got skid steers, they got tractors, they got everything you can think of. But what is their coolest item right now that you got out here? Right? Do you think?
I would say probably our stand-on skid steer.
And that thing, I can hold up 1 second. I want to show
right behind us.
It's right behind us. Hold on 1 second. I'm gonna move the camera here. He's talking about that thing right there. Now talk to us, Andy.
So this is just what a lot of landscapers, tree services use in places where you can't get a large piece of equipment, so it doesn't damage the ground. But it's still a lot stronger than one man with a shovel or a rake or a wheelbarrow.
You just reach on, like he's doing right now, right? He's got
you drive it with your left hand, work the loader with your right hand. There's several different attachments. You can get a bucket to move dirt, grapple to move logs. We've got a lot of guys using these, especially with the recent storms that have come through, doing storm cleanup. But definitely have a lot of landscapers that use them.
That's great. So again, how long have this product line been out?
This product line has been out now for about 4 years. They did a limited release when it first came out. We've just now been fortunate enough to become a dealer for them in the last few months.
Okay, great, awesome. I just want to show everybody that's an amazing piece right there. It looks like a tank sitting here, a big old orange tank.
Yeah.
But that's just one of the products that they have here available. Now let's get to talking about football.
Okay.
All right, we're here to talk about football. We've gotten the pleasantries out of the way while we're here, who we're here with. And we're talking Clemson football. And obviously, Andy, you being a graduate, I want to talk to you about your Clemson ties. What's your fondest memory growing up as a Tiger, maybe as a kid or as a student or even as an adult? What is your fondest memory as a Clemson fan?
I probably have a tie. The first one, when we finally beat Florida State and a lot of the students tore the goalposts down.
You're talking the 17-14 ball game?
I believe so. Yes.
Yeah,
sir.
yeah. Bowden Bowl.
Yep. And then the next was when Deshaun hit Renfro for the touchdown for the second national championship.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know what's so funny? I was in the press box for that game, and right beside us was a VIP box of Alabama fans.
Oh.
And they had just scored on that touchdown, and there was like 2 minutes left. And they were all just going crazy, and they were just looking at us because they knew we were Clemson press. They saw it on our credentials, and they were just making fun of us. And I looked down and went, too much time. And that's all I said. Yep. And then we watched them walk down the field and score that touchdown with no time left. It was the beautiful thing. You should have seen the press box next to me get quiet. But that's one of my fondest. My fondest memory, I think I told you guys, is as a child, I was able to attend the first national championship.
Right.
In 1981 as a kid. My aunt actually ran the team hotel in Miami, the Four Ambassadors. I actually had a family in Miami at the time. And so I got to stay with her and hung out with the team during the week, and then as a kid, as a 13-year-old boy, and got to go to the game. That was my first one. That's my first big memory as a Tiger. I think that sticks out pretty good. Stuff I got to do in the media has been kind of cool too. But let me tell you this. When you were a young boy, like my first game ever, 1976, Clemson versus Georgia. We got waxed 41-0.
Mhm.
There wasn't an upper deck inside. The place was just the upper deck, left, north side stands and south stands, and you had the west end zone stands, which is now a whole different thing. That was my first game. Your first game?
I want to say I think my first game was NC State. It was in the mid '80s.
Torrey Holt days?
No, I think it was a little bit before that.
Yeah.
But
Phillip Rivers?
no, it was before that.
Oh, wow. Oh, okay. How early in the 80s?
It's maybe 85, 86.
No, you're talking way early. Yeah. You're talking, let me think here. I'm thinking of running back. I can't think of his name right now that they had back in the 80s. It was really good. Back when they used to wear an S on the helmet. It's just an S. Remember that? It used to be just a straight up S for a state. And when Lane Kiffin's dad, Monty Kiffin was the coach. Ted Brown. Remember that name? An NC State running back back then? I think he was number 23. Quite a ball player. Yeah, I remember that one. Yeah, dude, I think in the Valley, I think that 76 game was probably a cool one for me. I think another one at the end of that year, which, what's cool about that season, it was his last year of Red Parker as a head coach. They went 3-6 that year. They were 2-6 going into the final, or 2-8 going into the final game against South Carolina at the Valley. I went to the first game, which was Georgia. We got waxed. The last game of the year, I got to go to that game. It was Clemson, South Carolina. And he put in all the freshmen that he had recruited. That recruiting class had Joe Bostic, had Steve Fuller. I think we're coming back up here. Let's see. All right, so let's get back to the conversation. Sorry about that, guys. We had a little bit of an issue here. No big deal. We're back on here. I'm sitting here again with Andy, the owner of Oakway Tractor. We're talking Clemson football. We're talking a little bit of Oakway Tractor. We're talking a little bit, a little bit of what we've all done in our lives as far as Clemson's gone. But let's talk a little bit about what's going on right now. Clemson basketball playing Florida A&M tonight. Started off the season 6-1. Went down to Florida in Jacksonville and won that tournament in 2 games. Took out a really good San Francisco team and a really good Penn State team with what I see as a collection of pieces, he picked up in the transfer portal, and he's just now starting, I think, find ways to gel them. You know what I'm saying? Find the right combinations and things like that. So I don't think we're going to see them gel for another 3 weeks, to be honest with you. But they're already looking pretty good. What do you think about basketball so far? What you think?
I haven't seen a lot, but I was listening to the Penn State game the other night, and what I heard, and it sounded like we've got a very good defensive team.
Yeah, we're talking about that.
I know Penn State, I think they were averaging almost 100 points a game.
And over 90 points
60,
a game.
65.
Yeah,
and then the game before that, I got to listen to some of it against San Francisco, and it sounded like, we've got a really good defensive team. Some of the new guys are playing good, and Chef, of course, is just double every night.
The one game was incredible. I think he had the best stat line of any player in the country so far the other night with the game against San Francisco. But going back to the defensive stat you're talking about, that's a Brad Brownell thing. It's his stalwart with him. You have to play defense to come in. And like you said, the new guys have all bought into this. Mm-hmm. And so far, like I said, I think it's just going to take a few games for these guys to gel and get to a point where they're really starting to see in their mind's eye, because it's kind of hard without having time on the court with just like with a football player, a quarterback, and a receiver reps. Getting to know what a guy's thinking. Mm-hmm. You same thing in basketball. You don't know until you put some time in with someone. The timing is there, but I think this basketball team is heading towards the non-conference schedule right now. I think they're going to go pretty. I think might finish up. Going into Christmas as a team that only have one loss going into the holidays. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's looking really good. ACC is going to be fun this year. I see North Carolina's already got 3 losses. UConn, number 2 team in the country, 3 losses already. Basketball is going to be fun here. I was a little surprised to see Clemson outside the top 25 at the beginning of the year, considering they finished in the Elite 8 last year, and the nucleus of the team is back. Chef and is I think was underrated. Everything every year they've underrated this guy. This year, the one year that they should really start thinking about him, I think they still underrated him. I still think no one's appreciating Chef for what he is. And you're going to see that basketball team, I think, take off after the holidays. And when they enter the conference schedule, I think it's going to be some really cool stuff going on. I'm looking forward to January and basketball season this year. And it goes back to when I was a kid. I think my fondest basketball memories, and I'm old, guys. I'm 58. My fondest basketball memories is the 1978 team, the first team that went to the Elite 8. That was Larry Nance, the first guy to ever win the slam dunk championship in the NBA. You guys know that, right? Mm-hmm. Their very first slam dunk championship ever, it was our boy Larry Nance from here at Clemson University, and he did it with I think a 360 slam in the All-Star game. But that team was my favorite basketball team, because it got me watching basketball in January and February and March, as a Clemson fan. Mm-hmm. Because before that, it was ACC season came around, Duke was going to beat us, NC State was going to beat us, North Carolina was going to beat us. Even Maryland back then with Lefty Driesell would beat you because they were so good. That year Clemson was smoking everybody. They actually won the regular season ACC title that year. Bobby Conrad was one of the point guards. Billy Williams, the other. Bobby Conrad is now a district federal judge in Charlotte. You had Bill Ross, 6'10", Moose Campbell, 6'10", Larry Nance, 6'10", and Horace Wyatt, 6'10". They called him the Skyline. You had 4 guys at 6'10", and they were unstoppable. You couldn't get anything done underneath. If they went to a zone, forget it. You couldn't get the ball in there. You had to have good perimeter shooting. And this is before the 3-point line. So you had to be able to shoot the basketball. And back then, I think the best game ever was, I think they beat Duke at Clemson with Gene Banks and Mike Jaminski was like number 2 team in the country. I think that's the most people ever been in Little John was at that one game. Because, I mean, we actually scaled the building down. It's actually smaller than it used to be. It used to be 11,000 plus. I think we're at like 9,500 now because of the changes they made with the VIP areas. Mm-hmm. But basketball is getting back around to it. It's going to be fun again in January and February this year. Like last year, it was just a surprise. We all were all watching it and going, hey, we might have something here. They started out strong, and then they kind of had a little mid-period where towards the end of the year last year, right before the holidays, they kind of had a couple hiccups, and you start, here we go again, But they righted themselves about halfway through conference season. I think this year they can go into the conference season strong and then as a favorite in a lot of these games. I mean, I'm looking forward to it. I don't know about you guys. I'm looking forward to basketball this year or what. Now, the other thing, soccer is in the NCAA tournament, round 3. They play Wake Forest, a return match from the ACC championship game a week ago or 2 weeks ago. They lost that game to Wake Forest in penalty kicks late. And this team and Trevor and Coach Noonan, they just seem to they seem to set the bar at Clemson right now. I'm sorry to say it. Our football program is good, but our soccer program is even better. These guys every year are just he pulls in the number 1 recruiting class every year. And speaking of number 1 recruiting class, we'll get to recruiting in a minute, but our lacrosse team this year pulled in the number 1 recruiting class in the country. That's big time. And they pulled a bunch of kids out of Maryland, and that's where lacrosse is just basically the world to everybody is in the state of Maryland. So great things going on with some of the other programs, but I'll be honest with you, the soccer team, if they can get past Wake Forest, they're heading right back to where they were before, and that's another semis for the national title. And get down there Sunday and support Coach Noonan and the guys. They'll be at Riggs Field. They're looking to get as many people as they can. But guys, anything you want to talk about as far as soccer and basketball and anything in the other sport you got any questions about?
Well, I've always been a fan of Clemson soccer. I grew up playing soccer.
Mm-hmm.
I was at I think it was either their first or second soccer national championship when
Coach Ibrahim,
Bruce Murray was
wow.
was on the team. I remember he was the best player on the team.
1984.
Is that it? Okay. I knew it was a long time ago, but
the year I graduated high school.
Okay,
yeah.
I wasn't in high school yet, but I remember being there, and so Clemson's always had a great soccer program.
Coach Ibrahim, yeah. You guys know that Coach Ibrahim, he's actually the founder of the Tiger Sports Shop, downtown.
Right.
Him and his wife runs it now since he's passed.
Right.
Rest in peace, Coach. But what a great story. But yeah, Clemson soccer, people don't realize it's got history all the way back to the 80s.
Yep.
Coach Ibrahim built the program there. And then Coach Noonan got a hold of it, I guess, about 8-9 years ago, and he's just turned it into a monster.
Yep.
I mean, 2 national titles in the last 3 years. And at the same time, he's gotten like 4 or 5 ACC title appearances and a couple of those to go with it. I mean, and in a very competitive conference. I mean, the ACC is the number 1 conference in soccer, men and women's. But some good things going on with soccer. Now, we're here to talk about the big subject, though. The reason we're here is for Saturday. Yep. And it's rivalry week. It's all hands. I mean, the gloves are off. Everybody's ready to go at each other. I'm pretty sure there was a couple fights at some dinners last night. Some folks having some words back and forth over the turkeys. And today people probably ain't speaking to each other, and they probably won't speak to each other till Sunday. I don't know about y'all, but I know a couple families like that around here. But it's that time of year, folks. It's the Battle of the Palmetto State. The Palmetto Bowl is here. Clemson versus South Carolina. You got Clemson ranked number 12 right now in the playoff standings. South Carolina ranked at 15th. This could be a playoff end game. In other words, the winner might be punching a ticket into the playoff, regardless of what happens with all the other teams with this game right here, depending on how it turns out. Now, I'll be honest with you. I'm expecting a slobber knocker. I'm expecting 2 teams that really, the rivalry will come out. And right now, with Ole Miss and Mississippi State are playing. It's one of the teams that we picked on our list of games to pick. We'll get to that later. They call that a heated rivalry. People just don't realize it. They call Alabama, Auburn a heated rivalry. They've never been. Come to Clemson, South Carolina. Come live here for a year, okay? When you got people spitting at you, giving you the finger at the red light because you're wearing the wrong sticker on your car. I've seen it, folks. I'm sure you have too. But welcome to South Carolina. It's time. It's football. Tell me about your best Gamecock experience. Tell me a good one.
Well, first off, thankfully, the vast majority of my family bleeds orange. So
good deal.
So Thanksgiving was
and
wonderful
listen,
as always.
We are biased today at 100%. We are orange and purple bleeding fools over here. So if you hear me say something like Rooster Roundup or chicken kicking, it's because I mean it. All right, there we go. We got that down straight. So we'll go talk. Go ahead.
So I guess what I would say is my fondest memory was just the 63-17 game.
Oh,
it was just a beat down. It was from start to finish.
I was thinking about that one on the drive up.
Yeah, so
I got a story to give you with that one.
Anything better than that?
I got a good one. I was in Stockholm, Sweden that night. Okay, I was in my other career. I was in the music industry, and we just got through doing a concert in Stockholm. And this is when the internet was just starting to come out, right? So I run into the hotel. We just got back from the show, got off the bus, jumped into the hotel, went to the lobby, and they had an internet kiosk. And I went straight to it to go see what the score was. I was worried about winning. They thought somebody had died I started screaming through the lobby. 63-17. I literally almost passed out in the lobby when I saw the score that night. But yeah, good one. That's a good one. Yeah, I guess my Gamecock memory, again, I have to go back to 28, the now we're talking about before we got cut off earlier. It's 1976. The year I look at this game at the end of 1976 as the changing of the guard at Clemson football, because prior to 1977, Clemson football was nothing to talk about, period. All the way back to 1896. A smattering of bowl victories, some ACC titles. But in 1977 until now, 2024, 4 losing seasons in that 50-odd year period. Now, think about that. I don't think that's probably only Alabama can match that in all of college football. Now, think about that. That game, 1976, the end of the game, that last game of the year, Steve Fuller, Jerry Butler, Lester Brown, Joe Bostic, Jim Stuckey, Jeff Davis, this entire freshman, a lot of freshmen that turned out to be All-Americans and NFL pros were freshmen on that team. He turned that game against South Carolina. Red Parker said, okay, the freshmen are starting. And when they went and won the game 28-9. And they were 14-point underdogs coming into Carolina that game. So they went out and won a ball game they never should have won. And almost saved Red Parker's job. But guess what happened? Glad they didn't. Because the next year they hired Charlie Pell to come in and take the team to an 8-3 season and a loss to Pittsburgh at the Gator Bowl to Dan Marino and the guys, and got waxed. But you took a team that was 3-6 the year before, turned them into an 8-3 contender in the conference, and got them into a bowl game. The next year, that team went 11-1 and went to the same Gator Bowl and beat Ohio State team 17-15 in one of the greatest games in Clemson folklore history. Okay, so that team originated from that 76 team. So that again, my long-winded story comes back around full circle. That's my fondest memory, was going to that game as a kid and seeing that lineup and knowing what they represented. Because to me, they were the guard that opened the door to what we're all doing right now. It got opened again when C.J. Spiller got recruited and James Davis. When those two guys came to Clemson, it changed the ball game in recruiting. When Spiller got recruited, it really changed, because then all of a sudden players all over the country started saying, hey, that place is a place we can go. That's all Dabo Swinney, by the way. The next thing was Taj Boyd's recruitment. Taj Boyd and the folks he came in with, they call the Dandy Dozen, the class he came in with only 12 guys in it. That team is what set the first brick in the foundation of what you're looking at right now, in my eyes. You look at Clemson right now, it started with Taj Boyd and Sammy Watkins and that bunch, okay? And they started showing Clemson fans, hey, you can win ACC titles again. You can win 10-plus games. I think a good one was when you went to the Orange Bowl and we played Ohio State. I think it was Sammy's last year and Taj's last year. You remember that one? Mm-hmm. Okay. And Dabo quotes something a couple weeks ago. We're talking to him. He quoted something about that they said in the headphones. I said the same thing to myself watching that game. Remember the play when Taj ran for the touchdown in the first quarter and just left everybody behind him? Mm-hmm. I'm sitting there telling myself, if our quarterback can outrun your entire defense like that, you're in for a long night. And then, as a matter of fact, Dabo confirmed that's exactly what the coaches said to each other when it happened. And I was thinking the same thing. I said, if our quarterback can do that to you, you're in for a long. And I watched it all night long. We were just a better athletic team. We were better conditioned. They were dying by the fourth quarter. That J.J. Watt couldn't even get up in his stance by the fourth quarter. He couldn't get anywhere. I mean, they were really doing a great job with conditioning. And it used to be Joey Baston used to catch a lot of guff back in the day about our conditioning. I think we're probably one of the better conditioned football teams since he came around, and I can think of in college football. But now the game is kind of leveled off where everyone is working just as hard in that area. I mean, it's college football has gotten pretty corporate. It's pretty funny. But hey, getting back to talking about this weekend's game, I know you guys just got through having Thanksgiving dinner and stuff. Was it a topic of discussion at the table at all this weekend?
Yeah, it's always, Clemson, Carolina. Of course, again, my family, we're all pulling for Clemson.
Right.
Hopefully, and thinking Clemson's going to win.
Yeah, optimistic are we? Are we
always optimistic?
Always optimistic. I tell you, a lot of folks got their eyebrows raised this weekend. I mean, you got a Carolina team coming in that's really on a hot streak, won 4 straight, and they've won 4 against 4 ranked teams in their conference. A couple times underdogs, and a couple times they really swatted some people. What they did to Texas A&M was impressive, But then you know what? Just like Clemson, they've had some bad games. I'll go back to the loss where they won at home against Old Dominion and almost lost it at the end. I mean, literally, Old Dominion had to give them the football game. If you recall, the quarterback fumbled twice inside his own 5-yard line just to give him the ball. And if that doesn't happen, South Carolina loses that game. That was one game I look at. Everybody wants to compare these two quarterbacks, and that's the comparison everybody talks about is what's going on with Cade Klubnik, what's going on with Norris Sellers, and the offensive line issues. Clemson's got an offensive line around that's dinged up pretty good. Up until about 2 weeks ago before they got hurt, they were pretty impressive, only giving up a handful of sacks all year. And I think Cade's biggest asset this year is what he does against the blitz, how he sees the blitz coming and how he reacts to it, which was, I think, his biggest downfall last year. He took his biggest Achilles heel from 2023 and turned it into his biggest strength of 24. I think that's an amazing thing to talk about, and nobody ever talks about is what he's done there. Because, I mean, you watch him, and I'll go, watch the blitz, and here comes the blitz, and he'll throw right into it. He'll throw right past the guy, and there'll be an open piece of green grass, and the guy will be waiting on the football. Last year, he would have thrown the ball the other way. He would just turn around and threw it. He would have went the other way, and then thrown right into coverage, where you throw where the coverage is not. Now, he's learned. And I guess it's a lot of tutelage with Garrett Riley, but again, it's a lot of experience. And again, we all hear this all the time. Experience matters. It does. I mean, it truly does. We got spoiled when we had even Taj had to be developed. Taj didn't walk in here and play his first year, but you got spoiled with Deshaun coming in and like 3 games in, and he was the guy. And then when Trevor did the same thing, he had 3 games in, he was the guy. Those guys were generational type talents. Yeah, they were going to come in and start as a freshman and be above the curve. But even I've watched so many 5-star quarterbacks in college football not turn out to be what they're supposed to be their freshman year, but by their 3rd or 4th year, be that guy. Bo Nix would be a great example. When he was at Auburn, you couldn't give me 5 cents for that dude. When he left Oregon, that's the best quarterback in the nation. I mean, seriously. And he couldn't get nothing done at Auburn because he was just trying to acclimate to the game, and everybody does it at their own pace. Not everybody's wired the same. You know what I'm saying? Kids aren't wired that way. Some kids can't come in. Like I get another good example of a guy like that would be like a Sammy Watkins. When he showed up at Clemson, he was the dude. As a freshman in high school, he was the best player on our football team the minute he showed up. That's a very rare kind of person. Just real rare genetics, combination of athletic talent and prowess and football smarts. It's all got to come together. But at a quarterback position especially, you got to develop them, And I think Cade, he's shown us that he's literally in front of our eyes turning into a potential Heisman. He's still on the outside of some Heisman watch list right now. He's, some people have got him his 4th, 5th, 6th on the outside looking in. I think that's pretty impressive. Tell me what you think and what you've seen in the last year and a half, what you've seen of him and what you think he's done so far this year.
Well, I definitely think Cade has gotten a lot better since last year, just I guess with experience. I see that he does handle the blitz better, making better decisions. What does he have? Maybe 4 interceptions?
4 on the year, 29 touchdowns through the air, and another 5 on the ground. He's 34 total touchdowns. I think he's one of the nation's leaders in that category as well. Yeah. And that touchdown to the interception ratio, that's the most impressive thing. But because I think 2 of those were tip balls. Mm-hmm. I'm just going to tell you, last year he threw 9 picks. Yep. And I thought this year you'd see more attempts. And because of the more attempts, I thought he would tick up a couple of picks, Mm-hmm. But he's literally kept it down. He's got more attempts and kept his interceptions down, which means he's really, really just focused and dialed in. And I think we saw it that home game after the Georgia game, that first pass to Wesco. That he wasn't scared to just let it rip. Mm-hmm. And he wanted to know everybody know he could. And now that we've got the guys that he can throw to and get them over the top and loosen those safeties up, you can do that kind of stuff. Like tomorrow, or the thing about me, South Carolina's defensive backfield is very aggressive, and they're big and lanky. 6-foot corners and 6'4" safeties. And these guys got long arms, long legs. They take a lot of space, but they're very aggressive at the line. Our guys have got to figure out a way to get separation at the line of scrimmage. We're going to play press coverage on Clemson all day. They're going to play press coverage on Clemson, and they're going to just dare them, see if you can get off the line. Hey, 12, I know you're a great ball player, but you're only 185 pounds. Can you get through me? That's what's going to see. And if 12 can figure a way to get past, a number 8 and get himself downfield, you'll have some success in that passing game. If you can't get that long passing game, the over-the-top passing game, you're going to look like the Georgia game again. We're going to look like the Georgia game where they're going to drop a safety down in the box, and all of a sudden, everybody's going to be keying on Maffa. Nothing's going to move, and you're going to be looking to throw the ball, sideways. Trying to push the ball out to the sides and try to find some green grass. You have to get that early in the game. You have to hit them deep and hard, at least once or twice. Loosen those safeties up. Make those guys respect you deep, because if you don't, it's just going to be the Georgia game in reverse. They're going to come right. I mean, same thing. They're going to come back in. They're going to drop a safety in the box all day long, and they're going to go try it. And I think that this is the wrong receiving core to play with. The loss of Stellato hurts over the middle. I mean, if there's one kid that was tough this year, if you ever noticed, every catch that kid made this year, he took a shot. I mean, he literally paid for his work on the field. I mean, he was getting beat up. Everything was a slant. He'd grab it and get nailed. The guy was tough as nails. Losing him sucks. Poor kid had a history of that throughout his career. I mean, he walked in the door. He came out of Florida, a 4-star, almost a 5-star wide receiver, and he just never has been able to get under his feet because of all the injuries. But the Clemson wide receiving core, I think, could be the difference maker. Antonio Williams, the reason I think we lost that 2022 game wasn't DJ, which was one of them, but the fumble at the 50-yard line on the punt at the end of the game. If that doesn't happen, you're only 20 yards away from a field goal from 29, who hadn't missed anything all year, and you win the ball game. That was already, we had like a minute and a half left in the game. Brown has already stated all week long how that has driven him this week. He's from Columbia. He went to Dutch Fork High School. He wants to change the narrative. He wants to be the GOAT this week. And I think the way he's been playing and the way he's taken ownership inside that receivers group, and he has. And I think it's because he's being pushed by these freshmen. I think they've really raised his level. But he's taken ownership of that and leadership in that group. I think you've seen it in his play. I think this week is the week that he really makes a statement. And he had 13 catches last week. I think this week he'll have something like that, something crazy. And I think he makes some big plays. And we talked about this earlier. We'll get to prediction here a little bit later. We'll talk a little bit more here, but I think he has a big part to do with my prediction. We'll get to that in a few minutes. But wide receiver play against their defensive backs. What are you 2 areas you're concerned about with tomorrow? What are 2 areas? What's one area for South Carolina that concerns you, and what's one area of Clemson that you think needs to be on point tomorrow?
I think Carolina's defense, again, they've had a very good defense all year. I definitely think, like you said, we need to stretch the field, and we need to stretch it early because it's going to be tough to run on them. And I guess my main concern on the Clemson side of the ball is our offensive line and how healthy are we?
Correct.
How can we protect Cade? Give him a little time for the receivers to get open. Yeah. If our offensive line can do that, then I think we can come out on top. If they're able to get pressure, especially if it's only with their first 4, it might be a long day.
Yeah, I agree. I think we were still waiting to hear on Tristan Lee and Marcus Tate. I think Marcus Tate is closer to playing than Tristan was, and we need both those guys in tomorrow. Because we lost Trent Howard over this week at practice. He tore an ACL. So he's been the all-around kind of plug-in cat his whole career. He just kind of plugs in the offensive line wherever you need him, from center to tackle. And he was, like I said, he was like the monkey wrench or the Swiss Army knife of offensive linemen. And he tore his ACL and he's out. Another sad story, because that's another guy who's been here a long time, and he's a great kid. He's got great ties in the program, but he's gone. You got Tristan, and if he can get back in there and Marcus can get back in there, solidify that left side of the line again, that'd be nice. The combination that played at Pitt was actually not too bad. They made some room in the run game when they had to late. I mean, it wasn't nothing going on early in the game because they were just slamming that A gap. They weren't allowing anything up the middle. They were blitzing on every other play, and those run blitzes, what I'm saying, it's designed to just stop everything and push it to the tackle, to the outside. And they had no chance. There was no chance for them getting cohesion. We'll go again about playing with each other. You just put a piecemeal offensive line together right before the start of the game. Hey guys, go out there and figure it out. And guys playing out of position all over the place. The first play, you lose your left tackle. The Thurman kid's gone for the year. That's a real big loss because that guy was really athletic. I mean, when he went out there and played against Virginia Tech, I was like, wow, because he stopped the number 2 defensive end in the country is the guy at Virginia Tech. He had like 10.5 sacks. He got nothing on that kid. Thurman kept him out the whole night, man. And I was like, wow, that's his first start at Virginia Tech, the number 2 defensive end in the country. He just shut him out. The first play against Pittsburgh, goes down, breaks his foot. There you go. Our luck. But there you go. Great point. Offensive line, big key. Write that big asterisk. Everybody at home, Andy's key is offensive line, and I agree. Great point. 1, keep Cade protected. 2, you got to be able to make some space for Maffa. Because if Maffa ain't moving, this offense doesn't move. You saw that thing in Pittsburgh. We don't win that ball game without that miracle at the end. Cade find that space. The only reason they found that space is because they've been doing the same thing over and over, and they caught Pittsburgh playing man coverage at the end of the game, and they should have been playing zone. What happens is those defensive backs get in man coverage, and they just take off, run downfield, and there's nothing between them and the linebackers. And if you got a linebacker blitzing outside, you got a gap. Hey, you and me could have run that ball up and got 20, at least 20 yards where they got to us.
Maybe.
But yeah, so that was a lucky one. Offensive line's got to be cohesive tomorrow. The receiving group has to be firm at the line of scrimmage. I'll say the word firm. They cannot get overwhelmed physically at the line of scrimmage and press coverage. They have to be able to break out of press coverage and get some separation. Because if you don't, they're going to line up man on man. They're going to say man on man. They got some big dudes in that defensive backfield, and they ain't scared to hit you. The linebacker's super active. They got a great defense. I mean, this is a challenge. But hey, these are the same guys except sans 2 players that they had in that defense last year, guys. The 2 different guys are Kennard and the other end. Both of those guys are new. One being a freshman, one being a transfer. The defensive backfield, same bunch of guys. Linebacker, same bunch of guys. The offense, I think last year's offense was more potent than this year's offense with Leggett and our little quarterback buddy there, Rattler. Lenore Sellers, I can pull his stats up for you. I mean, over the last 5 games, he's thrown for like 13 TDs. Prior to that, he'd thrown for 3. I mean, he's on fire right now. But a lot of his stuff is it's weird. It's like he's throwing touchdowns. It reminds me of Shedeur Sanders. He's over there just winging it out there, throwing up there, and he's getting lucky. And he finds guys wide open just running by themselves downfield. And you just don't see that usually late in ball games like against the Missouri last week. I watched that last drive, and my jaw was dropped at the defensive play that was going on with Missouri. They didn't know what they were doing, and I don't know if Clemson's going to play like that. We'll see. They got to get Rocket Sanders going early if they want to beat Clemson. They're going to have to get that run game going early. And, watching the Civil game last week was not anything that's going to give you any positive reassurance that the run game is going to be stopped, because it looked pretty bad last week when they ran up almost 300 yards on us. But I'll go to say again that, we played with a lot of reserves last week, right. And at the same time, a lot of guys were platooning in and out. Even first team guys were platooning in and out early in that game. Klubnik right now at 2,700 yards, 29 touchdowns by the air, 4 picks, and he's the 17th rated in QBR at 77.9. Sellers let's get Mr. Sellers up here. Mr. Sellers has got 2,110 passing yards, 17 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, and he is currently 48th in QBR. So if you want to go by quarterback stats and just stats alone, Klubnik has the edge. As far as a gamer, I'm going to tell you, Sellers is scary. He got some lively legs on him. He's a big kid. He's 6'4", 240 pounds. I mean, that's a hard guy to bring down. I mean, you saw last week Clemson was having a hard time bringing down that big kid from Pittsburgh. He was 6'4" and lanky, about 210, 215, and he was able to shrug some guys off. But this guy is athletic. I mean, you go back to the game last week. It was a 3rd down and long, and he scrambles out and finds the guy way downfield and saves that ball game. He should have been tackled and sacked. And that game should have been over. It should have been 4th and 35. At their own 5. But nope, he got out and found a way. That's what you got to worry about with this guy, is him finding out and getting away. Because their receivers don't scare me schematically. What they scare me at is when you get into the scramble drill. When there's guys just running around crazy and you lose somebody. They got this little number 14. He's a little slot guy. He gets lost all the time. They find him just out there in the middle of nowhere, and he'll be by himself. And I'm like, well, how did he find himself open again? Because they'll get, again, scramble drill. I've seen it every time. South Carolina's offensive line is, again, suspect, like it always has every year. They don't have an offensive line like it's their Achilles heel as a program, I guess. I don't know. But I don't see it again this year. He's been in a lot of duress this year. And when he's in duress, unlike Klubnik, who we talked about earlier, is really good against the blitz, this guy isn't. He's just too young. He hasn't, again, just like Klubnik was a freshman last year, year started last year. This is his first year starting. He's just now seeing these blitz packages and things. And believe me, you're going to get some exotic blitz packages this weekend from Wes Goodwin and his bunch. He's going to have some things dialed up this kid's never seen. Now, how he reacts to that is, again, you saw his athleticism can get him out of trouble. Okay. Him and Cam Ward from Miami is another guy I see doing the same thing. I've seen Cam Ward, just like him, get into a position where, hey, you got him. Get him. Second. Nope. Pulls out, finds a way. And this guy's got his eyes downfield the whole time. That 6'4", big body, he's looking downfield. He can see the field pretty good. I think you have to spy him. I think we talked about earlier. I think before the show, Andy had a great idea. It was the same idea I had. Run a 4-3. If Woodaz is healthy, you run a 4-3 defense. You put Woods inside. You put Capehart if he's in there inside, or you put Page inside, and you get those guys in there, and you run a 4-3 gap sound, and don't let him get outside that pocket. You don't let your defensive ends run too far upfield, and don't let him get outside that pocket and stay gap sound. Keep him in the pocket. Make him make those decisions inside the pocket. It's when he can go outside the pocket and work on his own and freelance. That's when he's trouble. In the pocket, I think you can really make his head spin trying to read. I've watched it. Okay, so you watch his feet when he's in the pocket. They're nervous. When they're not, he's running. He's good to go. This kid's an athlete. And right now he's living off his athleticism. But give him a couple of years, he's got the arm and the talent, and he's also got the right mindset. He's a good quarterback. He really is. A couple of years, you're going to have a really. If I'm South Carolina, I'm worried about keeping him out of the transfer portal this year. To be honest with you, there's going to be people coming after him. They're going to be coming after him. They're going to come after the defensive ends. They better get that NIL money out quick. But going back to the game, I'm looking for a barn burner tomorrow, guys. I mean, an absolute barn burner. Will you tell me what you think?
I think it's going to be a close game. I think the Tigers are going to pull it out. I think Cade's going to make some plays with his arms and with his legs. So I'm going to pick Clemson 24-21.
Okay, you're close. I got a 3-point game the same. I'm going Tigers 27-24. And we got ahead of ourselves a little bit. I got some other games we want to pick, okay? That's okay. We're going to go back to this, okay? So I sent Andy a list of games to pick. And we're going to start with this one. FSU in Florida. That's tomorrow night. It's Billy Napier has the ex-Clemson coach in Florida State, DJU, the Timpson Clyde. The DJ's trying to come back to Florida State next year, they're saying. I don't know if that happens. I don't think Florida State wants him back. But either way, Florida State, Florida, who you got?
I'll take Florida.
I'll take Florida as well. Let's see here. We got Auburn, Alabama, the Iron Bowl. Now, Alabama coming off a 24-3 whooping from Brent Venables and his boys. I watched that game last week. Did you get a chance to watch it?
Just a little bit.
Good Lord. Alabama looked like Georgia Tech in 2006. It was awful. They couldn't get anything working. They were a one-man machine, and Brent Venables had it dialed in. Milroe couldn't do anything. And this is Alabama, and Auburn went out last week and had a barn burner and wins in the overtime in an upset. I think Auburn picks this one up. I'm going to go Auburn.
I'll pick Alabama just because they're at home.
Okay. Georgia Tech. Well, I'm going to tell you that Auburn, Alabama home thing. It's just like here. It don't matter. Mm-hmm. It's the same state. Georgia Tech tonight. When we get done here, the Dogs and the Jackets. Now, another one I'm pretty excited about because Georgia Tech's feisty on defense. That linebacker, that middle linebacker that wears the net collar, I love him. He's as old school as they get. He hits you. And he's a spear. He's a spear monster. What do you call it? Targeting. He loves the target, folks. Georgia Tech offensively, the new quarterback. I'm trying to think of his name. I'll think of it in a minute. He actually broke all of Trevor Lawrence's high school football records in the state of Georgia. All right, and I think of it in just a minute. He's a great-looking kid. He's about 6'3", 205. But the freshman, great arm. He's been impressive. They're at Georgia, which is going to be a heck of an environment to play in. Again, in state, but a heck of an environment. Georgia's had some troubles here lately, man. They're an up-and-down football team. Mm-hmm. Is it the team that went down to Texas and waxed Texas, or is it the team that got waxed by Alabama? Which one's showing up? Is it the team that can go out and make Clemson look like a bunch of high school kids in the second half, or is it the team that can go out there and literally look like a high school football team themselves in the first half of a Kentucky game? I mean, I don't know which Georgia shows up, which quarterback shows up, because he's been the one that's been on and off all year, right? Am I right there?
Right.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go Tech in an upset. I'm gonna go with upsets today. I'm going underdogs. I'm going Tech in an upset. Go Jackets.
I hope you're right, but I will pick Georgia just being the home team.
He's common sense guy. I'm the guy flying out on a wing tonight. He's the common sense guy. See, that's why he owns this cool tractor place. Now I run a website. All right. Next one. This one matters. Okay, the next one matters. After our game tomorrow at 3:30 p.m., Miami travels to the Loud Dome in Syracuse, New York, to face the orange and Kyle McCord, the top quarterback in the country, statistically, he's the number one quarterback in the country. What do you think?
I'm picking Syracuse. I've seen how bad that Clemson's played going up to that place, and it's a house of horrors. So I'm picking Syracuse for the upset.
It's a place I've been there a couple of times, man. To cover against it is an awful place to play. It's got a terrible atmosphere, but it gets loud in there, and it's got weird sight lines. All the stands are really weird set up. It's kind of weird, man. But I'm gonna tell you right now, it is a house of horrors, like you said. And this goes back for decades. People go in that place and die just like they come to Clemson's Death Valley to die. For some reason, that place sucks the life out of you, and that get loud in there. And let me tell you something. Miami has been playing with house money for the whole season. They should have 3 losses right now. California should have beaten them. California had them by 25 points and lost it in the fourth quarter. Okay, they should have lost the Virginia Tech game. That was a touchdown pass at the end of the game. It was called an incomplete pass. All right, there's 2 games. They have been playing with house money all year long. Georgia Tech showed them that. Okay, and they're going to find out this week. I think they're going to get outplayed. This one's going to be a barn burner. I'm thinking a 38-31 type game. I'm going Syracuse, same as you. I'm sticking with the upsets, folks. All right. Now we'll get back to our Clemson Carolina picks. We've already given them to you. 27-24 Tigers. I think it's a fourth quarter game. 24-21. Andy's going with this pick again. It's 3 points. We're gonna. What do you tell us? We got one of our one bystander here. What you got going on?
I'm gonna go 14-26.
Again, what was that?
14-26 Clemson.
And why?
I just believe Clemson's they've pepped up. They really turned it up in the last few games, and they really got dialed in. Klubnik's really settled down as quarterback, and I believe they're going to show out.
Okay, let me ask you this. We asked Andy earlier. We'll go ahead and ask him. What's your fondest memory as a Clemson Tiger? Now let everybody know that you actually used to be in the South Carolina State Patrol and actually traveled with the team at a point, right?
I did. I retired from the State Patrol a couple months ago, and
go ahead and introduce yourself, so everybody.
I'm Jared Duncan. I'm one of the construction salesmen up here for Andy. Andy hired me up here to do construction sales, and very grateful to be up here and be a part of this establishment up here. Probably one of my fondest memories, is kind of hard to believe, but the first time I ever flew commercially was with the Clemson Tigers. And actually, speaking of Syracuse, that was where we went to, was Syracuse. And I actually flew in uniform, drove the team out on the tarmac, and loaded up on a commercial Delta flight in my uniform, armed and everything. And it was kind of a cool experience. It's not a time to act like you're scared of flying, for sure.
Right. So when you travel with the team, you got to, I guess, meet the folks. Like I think, you talked about. We have a common friend, Dabo's brother, Tracy Sweeney.
Tracy's great. I tell you, the whole family's just great, and then just the whole Clemson atmosphere. Yeah, is very family oriented down there, and they treat everybody part of the program. They treat them just like family. Yeah,
and people don't get that. I tell people all the time they don't know Dabo. I told you guys a story a few minutes ago. One of our sponsors is Denver Down Farms, owned by the Garrison family, and the one Garrison lady there, she wrote a Clemson Tiger children's book a few years back, right? And it's a beautiful little book, cute. And my girlfriend at the time owned a daycare. She only had 10 clients, is what she did. So she goes, "What can I get them for Christmas? It's weird and different." And they're all Clemson fans. I'm like, let me think. I said, we can get them in them books, and I can get Dabo to sign them and personalize them to each one kid. And he's like, great idea. So I got 10 books from my buddy who owned Knickerbockers. The Spearmans at the time, David Spearman, great guy. So I went down and got those 10 books. I went to practice, and Tim Bray was still working with the football team back then. And I looked at Tim, and it's because you're in the media, you don't ask for autographs. I don't go, "Hey, Dabo, sign a football for me." I'm not going to do that. Hey, sign my hat. I'm not going to do that. But I said, "Hey, Dabo, I got a strange request." And Tim goes, "What is it?" And I said, "Tell him I want him to sign these books." And Dabo overheard me. He said, "Come here, let me talk to you." So I'm in the weight room, the new weight room. And Dabo's got these books out, and he's signing them and everything. And I'm just sitting there looking at it going, that's a really cool thing. That's the kind of person he is, guys. He's like, "Who's these for?" He wrote each kid's name, he took a picture with them. So what I did is I put a picture of him signing each book inside of each picture, inside the book. And then I've had dinner at this house before. Him and Kathleen treat me just like they treat their family. Now, I tell you a good thing about Dabo. I've been able to table now. I've heard a curse word or two off the record, y'all. I have. I can say that. But hey, we ain't all saints.
I'll tell you one thing about Dabo. One time when I was traveling with the team, at the end of the games, a lot of these people come up trying to get signed memorabilia for Clemson. Yeah. And you know good and well that most of it's going to end up on eBay.
Oh,
by
of
the end the
course,
night.
absolutely.
And I asked Dabo one time. I said, you know, that's going to end up on eBay. And he goes, you know, they gotta provide for their family too.
Yeah.
So he's just the kind of person he is.
I tell you, I used to when I first started the website, I used to be a photographer as well. I did it all, right? Now I got guys I hire to pay. They go to cover the games for me, professionals. I was trying to be that guy, but you might have seen a picture of Dabo running around. It was the ACC championship game against, I think it was North Carolina, and we're in Charlotte, and it was his 100th win, and they gave him a jersey that said 100. Okay,
South Carolina.
No, it was in Charlotte. It was in Charlotte. Yeah, because he wore it to the press conference. So he's walking back to the locker room in Charlotte, and I made him turn around in the locker room tunnel, and he looked at me and said, "What you want?" I said, "Let me get a picture of that shirt." And I got the shot you'll see everywhere. It's got CU Tigers. I was working for those guys at the time. But it'll be him with his 100 shirt, and he's got his ACC championship hat on, smiling. And most coaches could care less about dealing with somebody they dealt with like me for all these years in the media to turn around and give me that little 2-second shot. But you know what? That little gratified shot got him so much love because people love that one picture of him because he's got the most genuine smile you'll ever meet on a guy, and it's real. I mean, each one of us have met the man, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, I've got the luxury of playing golf with him. I've had dinner with him. I've been able to hang out with him in a professional setting and in a non-professional setting, and he is the man he claims to be. He truly is the man that he claims to be. And has been for all these years. And I'm pretty sure you experienced that as well on those planes flights,
Oh yeah. He's very, very humble. I mean, just really down to earth. It's kind of surprising and when I first met him, the encounters I had with him over time, I just, always wonders like, all right, so when's this real person going to come out? And actually the real person was there.
That's the whole time. I know. People say he's putting on an act or whatever. Dude, I've had dinner with the guy, not just once, not just twice, many times. And he's the same guy in the house that he is at home. I mean, he's off the record. I mean, literally off the record, he's the same exact person. That's why he sells so well in the recruiting game, because these kids see genuine. They know genuine when they hear it and see it. They know what's up. You know what I'm saying? So when he's in the recruiting game, it comes across, for him. I'll go back this weekend. We got a bunch of big time kids coming in. Let's talk a little recruiting before we get out of here too. We picked up a quarterback commit this week, guys. We had lost our 2025 quarterback. The A-Bear kid out of Northeast there had decommitted and decided to go to Notre Dame in the last minute here. That's the second one we lost this year in that class. And so we're looking at having nobody. Well, he went and found a kid down in Florida out of Tampa. His name's Chris Denson. He was committed to Coastal Carolina, 6'3", 215 pounds, and he looks like a deer when he runs. He's got long legs. I mean, smooth. It reminds me of another Tampa kid that was a quarterback that played for Clemson, wide receiver Deion Kane. He looks like Deion Kane, but he's got a better passing game. I think he threw for almost 2,500 yards, like a 25-4 touchdown to interception ratio, and ran for 1,500 more. Okay. The kid is something else. Chris Denson. The article on the website right now, go check it out. It's got highlights in there with it and everything. A little breakdown of what we got there. Trying to build this 2025 class back up. We'll talk more recruiting on the other side of the season. Once we find out what's going to happen tomorrow, we'll find out tomorrow with the results of Miami if we're going to the ACC title. If we do, we'll be putting another show together real fast next week somewhere. I'll make an announcement on Sunday night or tomorrow night or somewhere somehow. But for now, I think what we got here. Yeah, I think we've done pretty good tonight. I think we got a nice little crowd here online too. There's about 31 of you on there right now, guys. And we're about 58 minutes in, about an hour-long show. Yeah, but listen, again, you guys out there coming to Clemson for the game, Gamecocks, Tigers alike, all of you travel safe, drive safe coming up here. I'm going to tell you again, Kubota products, Ego products, but not just that, family, local, it's all right here at Oakway Tractor in Seneca on your way to Westminster on 123. Just look for the Oakway Tractor sign that looks like
the I Sauron.
The I Sauron. You got it right there. So look, guys, again, have a great evening. Go get those leftovers in you. There's some good football all night. The Egg Bowl's going on right now. Georgia Tech letter. Go Jackets. And tomorrow, it's the Palmetto Bowl. Time for some chicken kicking. The Rooster Roundup. It's all coming on.